All statements and opinions expressed by guests of the Adult in the Room podcast are strictly their own and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs or opinions of the host, producers, or advertisers. All interviews are presented in their most complete possible form in the interests of free speech. No statements should be interpreted as financial, legal, or medical advice. Listener and viewer discretion are strongly advised.
It's the Adult in the Room podcast with Victoria Taft. That's me. There's a historian that I've got on today, and I've never had the pleasure of having him on before. Jared Knott, who is a historian and the author of Tiny Blunders, Big Disasters, Book 2, The Many Tiny Mistakes That Changed the World Forever. And this week may have been one of those times. And I just wanted to get your feedback on this whole military, if you don't mind, the military commercial that was put out yesterday. And hey, we illegal orders. I mean, you've seen it all. What do you think?
Yes. Well, if the Democrats want to pursue the avenue that illegal orders were given and therefore should be disobeyed, they can go to court. They can file a lawsuit against the president and saying that such and such orders are in violation of the law, get the courts to rule in their favor, and go to the Supreme Court if necessary, say orders X, Y, Z are illegal, and therefore they shouldn't be given, and therefore they're overturned, and therefore, of course, the soldiers in the field would not have to obey them in the first place. But yeah, the way back in ROTC, this issue did come up. In fact, there's a movie out there back then, way back when, not too long before that, Bridge of the River Kwai, and they were talking about situations where a commander gives a order that are illegal, so on and so forth. Well, that's an extreme situation. If you have people lined up, and like in the Nazi Germany, or military order to shoot and kill them, it's an obvious illegal order. In those situations, you're obligated to refuse the order. But that is nowhere near anything that's happening here in the United States. They say they have, and I believe them, exquisite intelligence that these boats are carrying illegal drugs coming into the United States and killing tens of thousands of people in the United States. They have been warned, and I think it's a kind of an act of war, act of criminal/war situation. I think they're perfectly entitled to destroy those boats carrying illegal drugs, killing Americans.
Has he done anything that you think is illegal at all? I mean, has he done anything illegal yet?
Not at all. Gentlemen made a very good point. There's a long list of times when they tried to use the law to interfere with Donald Trump's progress as a candidate and progress as president. The whole hoax about the Russian collusion thing was a gigantic nothing burger. Just blew out, just collapsed on him in the end. He was indicted, whatever it was, 91 times, convicted falsely in New York. The voters saw through that. It backfired on them and actually helped Donald Trump's campaign. They try to use the law in that way. They try to use it in many different ways. This is just another propaganda campaign on very flimsy ground that will go nowhere.
I worked on a story today for PJ Media, and it's out right now. And I found out from one of my colleagues that the husband of the congresswoman from New Hampshire is, you might know, or you may be surprised to learn, is Jake Sullivan's wife. Jake Sullivan, Hillary Clinton's former aide, Joe Biden's national security advisor, and the guy who imagined the pullout of Afghanistan, the plans of which he was personally responsible, along with the Secretary of State, which was an utter, unmitigated disaster and embarrassment for the United States of America, in my humble opinion. Now, here's my question to you. You can either respond to that if you choose, but here's my question to you. This week, we've come a long way. We've got 25 years from 9/11. We've got a real wacky Muslim who's now been elected to be the mayor 25 years after 9/11. And now President Trump is cozying up with the Saudis, who arguably brought upon, or at least bankrolled, most of the 9/11 hijackers. And so tell me what you're thinking about that. That's your main reason, raison d'etre for today. What are you thinking?
Yes, there's a kind of conflict there. The crown prince of Saudi Arabia allegedly did order the murder of that particular gentleman, that journalist who was attacked and cut to pieces with bone saws. And now what do? You very much need to support. You very much want him part of the Abraham Accords. We want peace in the Middle East. We want the huge financial resources that he has and the energy resources he has to be brought into partnership with Israel with its very advanced technology to create a great deal of prosperity and to move the entire region in the right direction. So what do? Do we say that we can't deal with this man because he has a past? Well, that issue, by
Yeah.
the way, came up in World War II in North Africa. You had the French who had collusion at that point, the Vichy French collusion with the Nazis. Can you communicate with them? Do you want to make a deal with them? And the answer was, we'll make a deal with the devil if it advances the interest of winning the war. And that's kind of what we have to do here. We have to kind of hold our nose and grit our teeth. And by the way, when President Trump is talking to Mr. Putin, he's talking about Major Ping, he's talking, of course, President of China, they both have their hands just dipped in blood. They both killed thousands and thousands of innocent people. When it
Yeah.
comes out and he rightly accuses of that, what kind of a deal is he going to be able to put together? Not much, because they'll just blow the whole situation up. So he compliments them. They're tough, they're smart, and they are tough, and they are smart, and I have a good relationship with them. And he goes down that avenue, which is going to lead to a peace agreement, going to lead to trade agreement, it's going to lead to a successful result, not that avenue that's going to be moralistic and righteous, and we insult them and we hope for the best. Well, that's just going to blow everything to pieces. So you have to choose that practical pathway, which is going to get you to the result, even if you're having to hold your nose in the process of doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's the adult in the room kind of a thing to do. I raise my eyebrows and go, okay, I hope that the people whose loved ones were killed on 9/11 get something out of this. Okay. I want them to be made as whole as they could possibly get. I want there to be a moral reckoning with the crazy jihadis that the Saudi royal family consistently bankrolls. I want there to be some reason that we have in the offing that will bring about a more stable and less crazy, radical Saudi Arabia. I know that on paper, but if they're still those crazy Saudi um, royal families members are still bankrolling these Islamists, we got problems. I mean, we've got real problems.
Yeah, now for years, the Saudis were walking down both sides of the street. They were financing terrorism at the same time being friendly with the West. They had a good relationship with the Bush family. Things
Yeah.
going on there, they were a little bit sketchy. So it was always been kind of a split personality kind of situation. Now hopefully we're swung over to the more positive side that maybe they're feeling
Yeah,
comparing to the better angels of their nature, and they're
right.
going in the direction of the Abraham Accords and peace in the Middle East, and not putting pressure on Hamas and the other terrorists to come inside the tent and peace, prosperity, bridges, schools, hospitals, that sort of thing. And I think that's the way to go. We can't be uh, moralistic as our number one priority. We have to be practical, and let's get the successful results as the number one priority. We have to
Mhm.
sometimes uh, forget some of the things that happened even just a few years ago.
Well, we're always being told by the Thomas Friedmans of the world and those folks that, oh, in order to get along, we've got to be able to have trade with people. Okay, here it is. It's going to be proof of concept now. And I think it's been working actually pretty well for President Trump in this few months as he's been in office. And I think it's an important thing to try to do. I just don't want to be sold down the river and told that I'm being irrational if I get upset with the Saudis along the way.
Well, of course, now judging it by the results, the same way you would judge a football game, uh, what's the score? How well has he been doing? It's just astounding what he's been able to accomplish to end the war in the Middle East. Of course, thousands of lives have been lost, but the Hamas brought under apparently going to be brought under control. The process of being brought under control. The Hezbollah has been kind of neutralized to some extent, where it looks like we're going to have peace in the Middle East, which is almost a miracle in itself, not to mention the other 7 wars that he's already solved. In addition to that, my favorite is in Cambodia, when you have like the 7,000 Buddhist priests there in their beautiful scarlet robes, nominating President Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. How good is that? What a great optic. I mean, that's he's made, but it's funny. It does not advance his popularity in the United States maybe as much as it should. People vote their pocketbook okay, but prices were still a little bit high and very high in the grocery store. That's a high priority. Yeah, it's fine. You brought peace in 8 different wars, and yes,
Yeah.
Peace Prize, that's huge. But that whole switching, the whole different subject, I think he's putting a huge amount of emphasis on affordability, and we're going to see a lot of job creation come to bear fruit in the first and second quarter of next year. A lot of factories being built, a lot of jobs being built in the factories, a lot of jobs once the factories are built. It is going to be the most prosperous economy, and he passes the one what he did in his first administration and the United and the history of the world. And we're going to have. I think he's going to do well this next year, and we're heading in the right direction.
From your lips to God's ears. I think he might be the most extraordinary president we've ever had. Yes?
He may go down in history as the best president the United States we've ever had. He's at 10 months, list the accomplishments in just 10 months. And of course, with the trade agreements, on a 21 or 23 trillion dollars worth of investment coming into the United States, it's going to reap huge dividends in terms of higher income, higher household income, more jobs, higher paying jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So he may go down in history as the great best president of the United States, even ahead of Lincoln and Washington.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. It's extraordinary. And thank you. I appreciated the book. Now, this is really interesting. Jared Knott's book is Tiny Blunders, Big Disasters, Book 2. He's a historian, so he knows wherever he speaks. And when a guy like this says, hey, Trump's probably the most extraordinary president we may have ever had, up there with the Titans, he's not kidding, because he knows about that. Tiny Blunders, Big Disasters, Book 2, The Many Tiny Mistakes that Changed the World Forever.
Yeah, you can go to tinyblundersbigdisasters.com, tinyblundersbigdisasters.com. We have a very fun website there. We have 2 free chapters. We have a portrait gallery and a fun quiz. And then you can bring a special this weekend. So it's a fun place to visit.
Excellent. You are awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care. Jared Knott. That's pretty cool.